It was a quiet night, too quiet. The kind that presses down on you, not with noise, but with its stillness. The fan spun lazily overhead, casting long, slow-moving shadows across the room. I sat curled on the edge of my bed, staring blankly at the wall. My husband had called earlier that morning. His voice was tired, stretched thin by work and travel. "I won't be home for a few more days," he'd said. "Don't wait up." I had forced a soft laugh and told him to take care. But inside, a tiny ache had formed, a longing I hadn't quite named yet. As the sun dipped below the horizon and the world outside turned dusky blue, that ache began to grow. It wasn't just about missing him, it was the weight of being alone. The house echoed differently when he wasn't around. Every creak, every ticking clock seemed louder. I moved to the living room and turned on the television, trying to drown out my thoughts. I flipped through the channels until I landed on an old romantic movie, one I'd seen before. The story wasn't special, but something about the way the characters looked at each other, touched each other, made something stir deep within me. I pulled a blanket over myself and sank into the couch, watching as the couple on screen shared a moment so raw and intimate, it felt almost intrusive to witness. Their kiss was slow, deliberate, the kind that didn't just touch lips but touched souls. I felt my breath catch, my fingers tighten around the edge of the blanket. I wasn't usually this sensitive, but tonight, something was different. Maybe it was the loneliness. Maybe it was the silence. Or maybe I just missed feeling desired. As the movie played on, I found myself sinking deeper into those feelings. I wasn't thinking about the story anymore. I was remembering. Remembering the way my husband used to hold me close at night. The way his hands would explore my skin with both tenderness and hunger. I closed my eyes, letting the memories flood in like warm waves. Every laugh we had shared, every whisper in the dark, every morning I'd woken up tangled in his arms, they all came rushing back. The ache in my chest grew stronger. I picked up my phone and called him, hoping to just hear his voice again. Maybe he'd changed his mind. Maybe he was on his way back home. The phone rang a few times before he answered. His voice was calm, too calm. He was still caught up in meetings, still hundreds of miles away. "I'll be back soon," he said gently, but there was no real promise in his words. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak, and ended the call. I sat in silence for a long time after that, letting the dark settle around me. My body felt heavy with unmet longing. I knew I couldn't sleep like this, with my heart racing and my thoughts spinning in every direction. I made my way back to the bedroom, lit a single lamp and lay down. The pillow smelled faintly of him. That familiar scent, a mixture of cologne and comfort, brought tears to my eyes. I closed them tight, biting back the emotions that threatened to pour out. Then, quietly, I let my hands move, slowly, softly, over my own skin. It wasn't something I planned. It just happened. An instinct. A response to everything I was feeling. I wasn't thinking about pleasure. I was thinking about connection. I was trying to find some form of closeness in a night that felt unbearably distant. With each touch, I was reaching for warmth, for comfort, for that electric charge I had missed for far too long. My breathing grew shallow. The room seemed to shrink, and in that moment, it was just me and my longing. The world outside didn't exist. Time slowed down, and I felt completely present in my body, in every heartbeat, every breath. It was intimate, but not in the way people often describe. It was emotional, raw, and real, like reclaiming something I had forgotten belonged to me. As the tension inside me built to its peak, it wasn't just a physical release I was chasing, it was emotional. A deep, private exhale of all the built-up desire, frustration, and loneliness. And when that moment came, it washed over me like soft rain on scorched earth, cooling, calming, healing. Afterward, I lay there in the quiet, the air around me still. My body felt lighter, my heart quieter. There were no grand epiphanies, no dramatic realizations, just a quiet sense of peace. A moment where I had allowed myself to feel, to connect, to be human. I understood something then. Sometimes, We wait for others to bring us comfort, love, or intimacy. But there are nights, like this one, when we have to find it within ourselves. The candle on the nightstand flickered, casting soft glows on the walls. Outside, I could hear the gentle tap of rain against the window. I turned to my side and pulled the blanket up to my chin, eyes fluttering shut. I didn't feel lonely anymore. I felt whole. Not because someone else had completed me, but because I had given myself the attention, care, and gentleness I had been longing for. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't ache. I simply rested. Not in sadness, but in a quiet understanding of myself. There's power in solitude when you stop fearing it. There's beauty in the way we touch our own hearts, not just with hands, but with presence. And as I drifted into sleep, I held on to that warmth, that stillness, that rare kind of peace that only comes when you truly listen to what your soul needs.